Get it.
I've always loved dogs. I've always loved dogs. It took me a while when I got back from Vietnam before we got a dog here.
Little Lacey here has but one job. Well, two if you count barking, and being lovable. But every day, her owner, Ed Reeves, remembers a dog, Prince, whose job was to keep men alive.
Well, he was trained to find ambushes, booby traps, and tripwires.
This one's after
Not to bark, it was an early silent warning.
It was 1970. Ed and Prince were on point during every patrol in Vietnam.
And every dog handler
back a lot of memories.
feels about the same way. You know, they may not have had the dog for that long, but there's a closeness. You know, obviously, he did his job well. I'm here, you know, so.
In fact, the first hour of their first mission, Prince alerted his unit to the presence of unseen Viet Cong. After the ensuing firefight.
So I pulled out a big Tootsie Roll out of my leg and opened it up and broke off a piece and gave it to him, and I took a piece and I'm eating it, and I looked at him, I said, it's gonna be a long year.
And it was. But through it all came an unbreakable bond.
You know, if he didn't find anything out there, I wasn't worried. I wasn't worried.
Then in 1971, when Ed was shipped home, came a brutal reality no dog handler was prepared for.
The 4,244 dogs that served there, only a little over 200 left Vietnam alive. All the dogs that were left toward the end there, they euthanized. They euthanized over 2,000 dogs. I didn't know what happened to my dog. In 1973, when we pulled out, I just kind of gave him up for dead. But 36 years later, I got information about my dog, that he was one of the 204 dogs that left Vietnam. He came home.
Then came the time for Ed to do the tracking. It took 3 years in the bureaucratic jungle, but he finally got his answer.
And this is a return from Vietnam. His date of service to the Army terminated and went to customs.
Prince went from tracking Viet Cong to drug smugglers. Ed then found a kennel owner near San Diego who told him,
Said he was a customs dog, and he, you know, for quite a few years we housed him here. We took care of him and fed him when he wasn't working, and when he retired, we adopted him. I said, you're kidding me.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Sadly, the creed, leave no man behind, did not extend to man's best friend. But at last,
And a reminder of the sacrifice of the war dogs and their handlers during the Vietnam War.
Americans can come to know of the war dog's worth.
And the home of the brave.
On a late September Saturday, man and beast gather at Mott's Military Museum for the unveiling of the War Dogs Memorial, a 3-year labor of love for Ed Reeves and Lori Motts.
It upset me that they just treated them as if, you know, they didn't care. They served their purpose and then they just discarded them.
Okay, all the handlers just line up behind this thing. Come on, come on, Tom.
4,244 dogs' names and their identifying number. 227 dukes, 197 kings, 147 princes, a crazy Mike, and a particular Fritz.
97 pounds, mean as a snake.
Tom King's sentry dog.
It was terrible that last night on duty. I sat there with Fritz at the kennel when I brought him in off post. And I cried like a baby.
And how many of those dogs put down had a handler who understood this truth?
I got two dates that my name should have been on the wall. September the 12th, 1970 and February the 14th, 1971. But I am here today because Prince alerted me to danger on both of those days.
What Americans have done to protect our freedoms, I don't think people really realize, and how it affects them. I mean, you're talking 50 years later, and Ed and Tom both can't speak without crying about their dog.
Okay.
Ed's effort to build this memorial extends past the debt that he and so many others owe war dogs like Prince to a place that should remind
But here,
anyone who sees it.
they're a memorial, not excess equipment.
Third line, there he is. 986A.
The war, the search, the memorial, a 50-year journey for Ed finds him now at a crossroads.
Right now, I'm drained. I just trying to think of what to do next.
But rest assured, he'll continue to tell the story of a bond as unbreakable as the granite on which it's now etched.
So I plan on,
And on quiet days,
when nobody's around, I'm going to sit over there with the dog for a while and we'll have a conversation.